Roadies, thanks for stopping by. Today is going to be a little bit different in that I'm going to kind of give you a more in-depth tour of the Beehive. I've been doing a lot of organization and trying to figure out how I want my stitching and quilting life to function. And I've been inspired by many of you and decided that I would just kind of show you what is going on in here and what changes I've made and what future changes I will be making, hopefully. But before we get started with that, I have a finish. Yes, I have like a handful of, as many of you, handful of family events coming up and things that I wanted to make for different members of my family. And my sister, her 50th anniversary is coming up. Isn't that something? And so I wanted to just make a little something. She doesn't want any presents, but I really wanted to make this for her, and it's been, you know, waiting to be finished. I knew that it was for her, and it was waiting to be finished, and I finally got it done. So, my Sashiko table runner. This is, let me just grab this pattern. This is a Sylvia Pippin design, maple leaf table runner, and it is available from her on her website. If she doesn't have it on her website, you might contact her and see if she could put together a kit for you. But there it is. I really love how it turned out. I did an envelope method for layering it and quilting it. And I didn't do a lot of fancy quilting because I really wanted just the focus to be on the Sashiko. And it was interesting because this particular Sashiko thread was quite different. It was a Japanese thread, but it wasn't that soft Egyptian cotton. It had a different feel, but it was perfect for this project. And then I backed it with some Asian fabric that I had. Gotta love a stash. Gotta love a stash. So I got that done. I realized that it's, August. Just about. Almost. A hair away from. And there are many things about August. It's the dog days of summer. When we were in school, you could not, it's like when families rush to take vacation because, oh my gosh, school's going to start come September. There was a lot to celebrate in August. But I also have a lot of different memories about August. I have a memory that comes up for me as for her family every August because a friend and co-worker of mine lost her daughter in August. She was just a middle schooler, yeah, and it was heartbreaking. And I know many of you have had heartbreaking moments in your life the last few years, and some that you couldn't even share. But there's those times when you just feel like you'd want to, as long as you're walking the earth, you don't want to give up remembering those that have preceded us in the walk. And so I always remember, because I was the charge nurse that day. I might have told you this story already, but I was a charge nurse on a labor and delivery unit, and I was actually in a delivery at the time, but my phone rang from another coworker, and so I stepped out of the delivery room to receive the phone call that this friend and coworker of mine had lost her daughter. And it was, it like sucked the air right out of the moment. And I remember the pediatrician stepping out and my telling the pediatrician, because we all knew each other. We all knew each other. But I always, you know, I don't know, there's so many things about that memory. Not only is it inspiring how a mother can keep putting one foot in front of the other, that makes you realize that we all have the capability of being strong. But I think there's a gift in remembering those who've gone before us in different ways. And one of the continued ways that our little group of coworkers has continued to remember this daughter was with sunflower seeds, because that was her favorite flower. So sunflower seeds were passed around, you know, and anytime you see sunflowers blooming, because, you know, come August, there's usually lots of sunflower blooms, you remember her. She has a little park that's named after her in Bend. And so here it is, just a breath away from August, and I thought, I know exactly this year what I am going to do. Now, I had a project, and it was in my Yazzie bag, and it was sunflowers for the Ukraine, because that was the national flower for Ukraine. And I had prepped it and kept it in my block showcase bag by Yazzie. You know, it has that, you get to see what's in it. So I'd already prepped it, and I thought, I am going to make a pillow out of my sunflower block for my friend, and cut my hair in it. And that's kind of the best thing about prepping things. When you prep things and you get everything together, it's like you can pick it up at a moment's notice. So I got this bee in my bonnet. Yeah, we're in the Beehive, to start stitching on this and spend the month of August creating this pillow. And so this is what I had prepped. I showed this to you before. It's on wool, and I backed it with the SF-101. I already had my cute little stitch rotary bag and my needle case, pair of scissors, and the thread I was going to use for the yellow. Already in my Yazzie bag, so it takes no big stretch to just sit down and start stitching. And so I've started stitching and doing the buttonhole or blanket stitch around the edge of the petals. And then I think what I'm going to do is do a series of trellis stitches, not a whole bunch of them, but just scattered around the inside, and then turn it into a pillow. I just had to today. I don't, it's kind of like yesterday, all of a sudden I had to get that table runner done, and I don't fight that. I no longer spend zero time judging myself. I am who I am. Is who I is. And so when I get that hyper-focused possession, I just go with it. I just go with it. No one's a boss of me. And so when I do that, what I find out is I really accomplish a lot. I don't accomplish a lot when I spend time struggling with the conversation. Oh, you really should do this, you really should do that, you know. Then I waste a whole bunch of time without any accomplishment. So I no longer do that, which has worked really well for me. It doesn't keep me from having a lot of whips or, you know, UFOs or that kind of thing, but it does allow me to finish things because I'm like a dog with a bone. Do you get that? Are you that way? I know some of you are very methodical about your craft, and I admire that so much. But boy, there's all kinds of chips in a cookie, isn't there? Yeah. So that's what I have been doing. I finished all of the 9 patch blocks, and I cut out all of the setting squares, which I'll show you in a minute. But now I think I'll just kind of move you around the beehive with a little bit of conversation about what is going on here. Thank you for, if you're new to the channel, thank you for giving the channel a chance. We appreciate it, both G and I. He does all the editing for me and picks out the music if he's not playing the music himself. And it is a way for me to connect to people. Because otherwise, left to my own devices, I'd probably sit on my perch here. And yeah, that's all there would be. Okay, so let me move on to the little tour. So when you come into the beehive, this is kind of an overview of the beehive. And it's filled with what I would call love. Love from others, love for myself. This room really brings me a lot of joy. And there's a lot of memories to it too, because I have things that people have made for me and photographs of places that I've traveled. And that's kind of what you want to do, whether your space is small or large. You want to create a space that makes your heart sing. Behind the door, this is all of a lot of my running days when I did the Portland Marathon. Gone to Quilt Market, a lot of ribbons. And then I have this fantastic bookshelf that came with the house. It came with the house. Yes, this is like crazy, isn't it? And I filled it up with all kinds of knickknacks and things that I've made or people have made for me. And my fabric stash. Now I did do a change here. I moved a lot of my project boxes that were in the closet out here on the shelf unit because I thought it would keep them more in my sight, so it's not like it's out of sight, out of mind, because that could easily happen. So I just love all the fun things in here. Here is Jessie and Woody and baby Woody and Buzz. Lots of fun pin cushions. I am addicted to pin cushions. This bottle here always reminds me, we have a water crisis right now, but when I was in China, this is a Coca-Cola Chinese brand. I brought that back with me in my suitcase. But a bottle of water cost more than a bottle of Coke. And I knew back then, several years ago, that we were in a water crisis. This is my goose jelly jar. Someone told me this a long time ago, that I saved all the little clipped corners off of half square triangles and put them in a jar from all the quilts that I made. And it's just a lovely, lovely jar filled with color and a reminder of all the quilts that I've made. I have the small patterns, and then down here I have the 5x7 patterns, more fabric. This is how I have my wool. The scraps of wool are separated into colors, into these bins. Green and blue, you know, orange and brown, black and gray, red and burgundy, and then yellow. So if I just need a scrap of wool to do a project, I can easily find a small piece. And there's my little memory corner for my friend Enzo and his collar. And I have books kind of scattered all around. Family pictures. This cabinet here I have filled with binding. You know, when you make binding, sometimes you have extra, and I just roll it up in there, and then I use it on small projects, or I put it all together for a scrap binding look. Buttons, Beldani thread, more books, my stitching chair, and then this is my cutting table. And this was G's old drafting table when he was a cartographer. As a young man, he was a cartographer, and this thing used to kind of move up, but he permanently attached it and then painted that ugly metal color to a pleasing green. And then I have different boxes of wool. This is all wool. Yeah, I have a problem with wool. What can I say? Now this is my newest acquisition, and I am so tickled with it. I can't tell you how this small addition has made my time here in the Beehive feel less stifling, if that's a word, by disorganization. So when I met a friend of mine for lunch at Monticello's Antique Marketplace, when I first walked in the door, this was for sale. And it was a marketing genius on the part of this person, because they put here, these labels were all like thread, bling, pins, ribbon. It was just perfect. And so I was able to consolidate everything that I spend a lot of time looking for things. And so now I have consolidated it all to this cabinet. So different kinds of thread. Here's all my Aurifil. All the variety of threads. You know, here's the beads. All my pins and needles. All the ribbon I use from my cross stitch. Different types of thread. I am like, this is my newest favorite thing, because I feel like I got rid of probably 8 of those plastic boxes that held a variety of things in it, but they were tucked all over the Beehive. And so I'd spend a lot of time looking, and now everything is in this one cabinet. And it's not a big cabinet, but it's perfect. Here's the back side of my cutting table, and I have a magnetic knife strip from IKEA that I use for scissors. This is the rolling cart that AKA Van Mom's husband, and she gifted me this tabletop ironing board, and I covered it with this awesome fabric. And then I received this wonderful gift from Chris, and well, you can see right there her Etsy shop, and these are journal inserts. My ironing station, I put on top, I attached a big board ironing surface on top of a, this was actually like a sideboard for a dining room, you know, and it would fold out and you'd serve dishes like for a buffet or something. And I attached the ironing board to the top of that. Old milk carton that I have magazines in. This is a rack that a friend's husband made in Bend. It's out of wood and dowels that he painted, and I hang the quilts on there that need binding tacked down. All of these quilts have binding on them. And then this is my sewing spot right here, and the Sweet 16 is right there. This cabinet came from one of the craft stores, and that has a lot of fat quarter packs and charm squares, so anytime I want to do a table runner or a small quilt, I can use that color coordinated fabric. And then this is my light table. Now this is a me-sew, and I'll put the link in the drops down box. I don't have this out all the time, but I had it out to do the Sashiko table runner. And I absolutely love this light table. I know there are fancier, streamlined ones, but this one I have had since probably day one of quilting back in the 90s. And so it has gone through several moves and it's like low-tech perfect. So you get this strip light, and you get these at any, you know, hardware store, and then you just switch that on and you do your tracing. So all my embroidery tracing or my Sashiko tracing, anything where I need to trace something on fabric, Crabapple Hill, I'm doing it on this me-sew table. And so I just love that. And then there's my design wall. It's right across from my sewing machine, so I am inspired as I move things up and down around there. When I come around here, I have this, has all kinds of little collectibles in it, thimbles, things I think are funny, like I love my Minions, Enzo, my dad's dog tags. And this is an old desk that I got also at the Monticello's Antique Mall, and it is what I call my Hexie station. So I have all my Hexies fabrics down below, and then I have all the things I need for my Hexies. These are quilts that are already tacked down that I have homes for. And then these are a pile of quilts that need the binding tacked onto them, so then they can be tacked down. And then this cabinet is my crafting cabinet, and it has a lot of memorabilia. These are my dad's shoes when he was a baby. My grandmother's perfume container. There's a bottle in there. Her rosary and statues of saints that she had. This was my grandfather's monogrammed toothpick holder. And then there's Enzo when he was a baby. Just a lot of fun things in there. So when you open this cabinet up, this is my crafting cabinet or my hand applique prep station. And I have my bags and some paints. And then here we come, full around. So on top of this cabinet is my turpin house and my ornament tree, and we come full circle to the closet. I don't know if I want to open the closet. The closet. Oh, don't open the closet. Yes, open the closet. Oh no. Oh. Oh, maybe it's, oh no. Oh no. So it's got fabric and piles of project boxes. So you can see how I would never be bored. I would never be bored. And then we're back to the beginning. So that is the Beehive. I always wanted to have this table where friends could come and stitch together. Yeah. Well, thank you for hanging around with me. I hope I'll get more stuff done today and be able to show you more next time we meet. You take care. Love you guys.